Good morning. It's about 20 past 6 in the morning. The sun hasn't come up yet, and I've just done a load to get some horse manure. So we've got some stables down the road, and there's horse manure I collect, and I pile it up here. I say horse manure, but I should be calling it stable manure because it's a percentage of horse manure and then it's a percentage of straw and sawdust. But basically we just pile it up, and I try and get about 3 or 4 cubic meters. So then I've got a big pile like that, and then it creates quite a bit of heat, and then it'll naturally compost. So it sort of starts out this color of like sort of straw, sawdust, then it goes a little bit darker, and then it ends up being black. And then when it's black and we turn it and there's no heat coming out of it, that's sort of when it's ready. That's about as much science as I do put into it. There's a little bit more. Sometimes we add a little bit of wood chip. Sometimes we bury some guts. You might have seen burying some pig guts in it. That'll actually help add some, I suppose, nutrients and sort of activate, like get the heat really going. So yeah, so this is just one of the things I do on the farm, is use a waste product that they're trying to get rid of. Believe it or not, they pay. Some stables, they pay to get rid of this horse manure. So I just pick it up for free and I pile it up, and it creates compost that I can use on my paddocks or my gardens or whatever. Happy days. I've just got my my second load of horse manure. So I've got 12 wheelie bins all up. And this is one of the reasons I love making compost in winter, because I can just see the steam coming off the compost piles. In other news, my camera is back. I looked for camera repairman here in Port Macquarie to get the water out of my camera. Apparently there's no camera repair people here in Port Macquarie. So I thought I'm just going to get a little screwdriver and I'm just going to start pulling this thing apart. And I was pulling out tiny screws, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I thought if I bust it, it's busted anyway. And I sort of pulled apart layers of it, and I got a toothbrush in there and tried to clean it a bit. And even now, there's still dirt up in the lens. But when I turn it on, the picture seems okay. Now, maybe you're a camera expert and you go, no, that picture looks terrible. But I think it looks all right. So for the moment, the camera is still going. And we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it lasts right to the end of the year and for many years to come. But if it does start having issues, I'll have to say, well, it did end up in some water, so I might have to replace it. So Project Surplus is back on. Okay, so I'm now on my camera. Hopefully you think the picture looks all right. I think it does. I just looked at the side of the camera and I can see there's a bit of a gap. The gap's not that big, where I haven't screwed it in properly. I'm not qualified to take apart cameras, but I gave it a go. Anyway, the camera's working again, so that is awesome. And I just got something in the mail, which was good timing because I literally filmed this morning of getting the horse manure, and my thermometer arrived. And I think I was talking about this in last video to say I actually don't know how hot it is. The thermometer, it's only, what's that, half a meter? Well, that'd be 30 centimeters. Yeah, it's probably about half a meter. And I realized I probably need a longer one. But I got this online. So finally, so this arrived. I know what the temperature is. Sometimes I dig around and then I put my hand in and go, well, that's quite hot. But now we can test the thermometer. Okay, so before I put the thermometer in, I thought I'd better explain how it works. Let's see if I can get that in focus. There we go. Awesome. So basically this particular thermometer, I don't know the brand. It's probably a generic one sold under lots of brands. It's got 3 different zones. I need to look at it now. It's got steady, active and hot. So that first zone, which I would call aqua blue, some people would call teal. It's probably teal. That's steady. Green is active, and the red is hot. That's where you want it. So in Celsius, that's I'm trying to look at this and sort of and hold it in front of the camera. So I'll just give you a bit of a shot of it there. There you go. So we're going to talk Celsius and Fahrenheit, so I'll let you know. Basically, I want it in the red area because that's really where the stuff happens. Maybe a little home compost bin, you might get it into the green, but the red is where what I would call a commercial compost heap, which is a few cubic meters or cubic feet, maybe if you're in America. So let's just talk about the hot temperature. In Celsius, that's what I talk in, it's between 54 degrees and 70 degrees. In Fahrenheit, oh man, the lines don't line up. It's like 130 to 160. Anyway, it's hot. Like when you put your hand in, it's quite hot. Like if you put your hand in something that's 54 degrees, it's hot. So we're going to jam this into pile number 1 and see if it hits the hot thing. Yeah, boom. Let's do this. Going in. There we go. Oh, can you see that? It's heading round to the red. I better get in a bit closer so we can see. That's what I want. So this is the first heap we're looking at. This is probably about 4 weeks old. This is a mixture of horse manure. I should call it stable manure. So it's already got some sawdust and straw in it. And we've added a bit of bark chip. I don't know if it needs more green stuff or more brown stuff or more nitrogen like manure. I'm still learning. But if it's hot, that's good. Let's put in the heap number 2. So just to show you, this is heap number 1. I'll zoom out. So heap number 1, this is my tripod. That hit the ground in the disaster, but it recovered. So that's good. So that's heap number 1, about 4 weeks old, 3 weeks old, I don't know, 2 weeks old. Just at a guess. And 1 week old, just to have a bit of a perspective. So this is the oldest one and it's still got quite a bit of heat in it. So we just keep turning it and adding a bit of moisture until it's no longer hot. And it looks like almost black. Okay, this is heap number 2. Now this one, I don't know, that one is the one I buried the guts in, if you watched the last video. The pig guts. I buried 1 lot of pig guts and the next day I actually buried a second lot. So it should be good. So heap number 2. Oh, the temperature's still sort of dropping from the last one. Anyway, let's pop it in. It should warm up. Oh, look at that needle just going around. So it's gone from steady to active. Is it going to reach the hot? No, it's slowing up. Okay, so it's slowing up there. So it's still active at 54, between 50 and 54 degrees. It might just start hitting the 54 degrees. So that's heap number 2. Let's go heap number 3. So heap number 3. In the early mornings, these all steam, but they might steam because the morning temperature's like not that hot. And I don't know, I probably need to jam this in all around the heap. As I said, I'm still learning. So heap number 3. Oh, it's into the hot. So isn't that interesting? So based on what I'm doing, the age of the heap's not making a difference. And I've just jammed it straight in the closest side. So this one's quite hot. So something else I'll talk about. Perspective. This heap's bigger than these 2. And that can be, after a while, they actually do reduce in size. They sort of rot down a bit. But, yeah, maybe this had a bit more moisture in it. So sometimes the moisture will activate it. So it's sitting at about, in Fahrenheit, it's probably sitting about 150, not quite 150. In Celsius, it would be sitting, I don't know where it lines up to, 62 degrees. Awesome. Now this heap here, this is where we sort of dump the manure. So the stuff, I actually want to just test the straight sawdust. So this is just manure that's come straight from the stables. If I put it in, I'll probably just hit the ground. So this is Like, it's not hot at all. This is just to give perspective. It's still dropping in temperature. So it's probably at 20... it's probably like 25 degrees. And that's probably similar to the air temperature now. So that's sort of where we drop it. This has sort of started to be heaped up, so I'm just going to jam it in the side here. So some of this could have been sitting here for four days. Oh, that needle's moving. Wow, look at that. It's already up to 65 degrees Celsius. This one's got some heat in it. Man, it's almost off the end of the red. Okay. I think that's going to sit right on the 160 Fahrenheit, and which would probably be 70 degrees Celsius. And they say, like reading the instructions, it sort of says above the red, it's not heaps beneficial. It might start killing like good bacteria. So this one's the hottest. So after all that, it's probably helped me realise I've got a lot to learn about composting. It wasn't a case of the oldest ones, well actually the newest one's the hottest, which that might make sense because as they rot more and more, they'll actually cool down in temperature. So maybe my next tool is actually a moisture reader, because if they get too dry, it slows down the process. But this is part of the whole project surplus. I'm still learning, but if you can get access to some horse manure, you might have someone with horses near you, or a race course, or some stables or something, and you sit it in a pile, and make sure it's a big pile, like it doesn't scale down, meaning if you have a 20-litre bucket of it, it's not going to work. You need maybe 6 wheelie bins full. So if each wheelie bin's 200 litres, think of like 1,000 litres, which that'd be about a cubic metre. So a cubic metre or two, you pile it up, horse manure, you wet it down, and then you want to add some if it's already got sawdust in it, it could be a very good ratio already. So that's me learning about compost here on the farm. Here at Chicken Caravan, we obviously make caravans for chickens. This one here holds 10 chickens, and this one here holds 600 chickens. Our vision is to see the world farming sustainably, and to do that, we want to continually develop sustainable farming systems that can be duplicated worldwide. Since we built our first chicken caravan back in 2010, our chicken caravan products have now been exported to over 20 countries around the world. Although chickens are our main focus, we also have development projects with sheep, pigs and rabbits. To find out more about the Chicken Caravan Company, please go to chickencaravan.com.